Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Beyond Second Cognition. I'm Beall. The topic of this discussion is the new Great Awakening, defining narratives. If you watch the news much these days or pay attention to certain videos on YouTube, you hear the word narrative thrown out a whole lot. The fact of the matter is that humanity is controlled by narratives. We live in a hearsay reality. The hearsay reality is somebody told somebody who told somebody, and then it becomes institutionalized, and then it becomes enculturated, and the narrative becomes a form of perceptual reality. Everybody believes it, and nobody questions it, and if you do question it, then those who believe it will get after you for questioning it. I have a new book I'm getting close to finishing, called The New Great Awakening, What People Think It Is and What It Actually Portends. Ever since before 2012, we have this grand hype about the shift in consciousness. The question about a shift in consciousness is, what are you shifting from and what are you shifting to? This New Great Awakening book is going to illustrate how humanity is being presented with a vast array of information to undermine the narratives that control our perceptual reality. Just like in the movie The Matrix, people were living in a perceptual reality, a framework created by artificial intelligence. Our reality is very similar, except it's not created by machines. It's created by men who tell stories and then often through force of arms, force other men and women to convert to the ideologies. Ideologies are narratives. The strongest narratives are those with a religious foundation, and even Marxism is a religion. The Psychology of Socialism by Gustave Le Bon illustrated this, that when Marx developed his socialist ideology, he used all the same foundations used to create a religion. You have to create a feel-good ideology and appeal to the lowest common denominator of human thinking. If you can appeal to the most simple thinkers, then you can appeal to those above them. And so socialism as a religion, like any other religion, always have to appeal to the lowest common denominator of the masses in order to sell the narrative product. The New Great Awakening book is going to be a hard read because it challenges narratives that go back thousands of years. It exposes illusions. Now, I've said in my prior works that we live in a world of illusion. This doesn't mean that everything is an illusion. The illusion comes from the perceptual narratives we give credence to and call reality. This is programmed into us. I discuss this in the Flesh Robot books and how we get programmed as biological computers, human biocomputers, as medical people call us, which we are. We're biophysical, biomagnetic, bioelectric computers, and the brain is nothing but a processing chip that stores data and operates with intellect, no different than a mechanical computer. In fact, mechanical computers are modeled on the human brain. Above and beyond intellect is consciousness. In order to shift to consciousness, you have to rise above intellect. And you can't rise above intellect as long as the intellect is programmed with narratives, with the stories we are told that we believe are our reality. Now, your reality doesn't mean that going to your job, learning your skills, learning your trade, doing the things that life requires is an illusion. The illusions are the beliefs we are sold and told our reality as narratives concocted by people who only want to control your consciousness. Usually these narratives are driven by a form of fear. And some of this is going to be discussed in the New Awakening book. But because they use the term narrative in the news so much, you need to understand what a narrative is and why they're there, why they're concocted, and why they are repeated endlessly until the programming takes in the intellectual consciousness in the brain of the human flesh robot. Until you know all about these things, you're going to be manipulated by somebody else's narrative. They're going to be able to control your perception of reality. The thing about narratives, if you have a core narrative, you can build on that core narrative and add different permutations to the core narrative, and as long as the core narrative holds your attention as part of a reality, it doesn't matter if it takes on different spins. So until you understand about living in a narrative hearsay reality, you're not going to free your mind into your consciousness. All the works we've done is about the evolution of consciousness. The truth of the matter is there's not going to be a shift in consciousness, there's going to be a shift to consciousness. You're going to shift to higher level cognitive awareness from limited perceptual awareness governed by the intellect. The intellect is a tool. It's not supposed to be a driver for the human flesh robot vehicle. Now, I know these are ideas that people want to balk at, and you're perfectly free to balk at what you want, and you're perfectly free to embrace the narratives that you've been indoctrinated with. But if you want to have your true autonomous freedom to escape the matrix, so to speak, you're going to have to look at all the permutations of the matrix that keep you bound within the matrix. All the books we've written are there to help people pull themselves out of the quagmire of the narrative reality, the reality of perceptual illusion. Just like the perceptual illusion of reality in the Matrix films, we live the same way. The only difference is there's no place to escape to, except to escape to your freedom and awareness of how you've been manipulated, how you've taken the bait of somebody's narrative and swallowed it hook, line, and sinker, and how you let them rule your lives through their stories. You might be interested in this book in that regard because I expose some serious illusions in this book. It's going to be hard to swallow. It's going to be upsetting. It might even make you sick at your stomach to find out how you've been manipulated. But it's there, it's supported by evidence. You can deny it, but I don't think you can refute it. So if you're looking to genuinely free your consciousness and become a free human being rather than living in an illusion and thinking you're free, you might want to get this book. Humanity is on a pathway to a species evolutionary advancement, but you're not going to advance as long as you want to continue to bend your knee to one person's narrative illusion or another. I'm putting this out ahead of time to sow some seeds for thought. I'll put up a podcast video whenever I release the book, which may not be more than a couple weeks, maybe 3 at the most. For those of you doing the work, stay the course and don't give up on yourselves.